Pick your battles. Just pick your battles. If a kid curses you out, don't engage in a power struggle with them. Just pick your battles. How many times have you heard this, whether from a colleague or superiors? What I've come to learn is that picking my battles has its consequences because essentially, doing so, you're compromising something somewhere for the sake of convenience. One of the things I've come to learn about choosing not to enter battle to end specific behaviors or performance from students is that the lack of effort began to sneak its way into my home life. Man, I got so used to ignoring poor mannerisms and negativity that I was becoming numb to slights and manners that my children would enact at home. So instead of correcting it, I ignored it. My wife and I have been striving to respond with teaching our kids, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir, which to many people may be a bit archaic in today's time. But what I found that to actually do is to help the child understand who's the adult and who's the child, to understand the position they play, the role that they play, and that they are not on the same level as the adult, who has the authority and how that authority needs to be respected. However, when you work with a population where they eat profanity for breakfast in the morning, compelling and demanding a proper response from students began to really be an uphill battle. This morning, my wife emphasized to me that I wasn't taking the teaching of our children seriously when it comes to respect for authority, and that has to start with parenting. Man, after some much reflection, it dawned on me that I've conditioned myself to not make it a big deal because I've had to do that so much at work. And now this apathy I've adopted, this go with the flow behavior has made me become a bit docile at home in the terms of how I actually address my own children. In the past, my teaching experience, I had to train myself to reduce my own expectations for students to properly respect adults in terms of how they actually address me. The reason for that is because I've had to become a bit creative. And if you're a teacher, you may actually have to do the same thing in terms of actually what you select as respect and what you don't select as respect. And a lot of this probably has to do with the kids, their own home training. And some of them do have some very sad home lives. But we can't fall in this trap of pity for kids just because they have a very terrible home upbringing. They have to start learning how to separate their situation from the reality that they're going to have to grow up soon. And these are things that they do need. These are skills and emotional skill sets that they do need to acquire sooner or later. And here's the thing. Now that I've reflected on this, there's a lot of things that I realize that I tolerate now at home because I've had to learn how to increase my tolerance at work. And I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't raised to tolerate certain things, nor would I have tolerated them in a normal setting. The inherent problem with pick your battles is that you can condition yourself to lower your tolerance to accept certain behaviors that otherwise would be contrary to your original moral standing. And that's a bad place to be in. I guess the main message into this video is when you pick your battles, be careful that you're not compromising your character or allowing certain conflicts to affect you to the point where others in your personal life are going to experience those effects all for the sake of convenience and making things easier. Sometimes easy isn't a good thing. Take it from me. In trying to set an expectation to ground students in authoritative respect for adults or those who hold positions of power, it eventually became a losing battle that I got tired of fighting. But in that giving up, that attitude transitioned to my family, and that's unacceptable. This video is all about me reflecting on a certain recommendation in terms of how to approach dealing with students in order to bring peace into your classroom, but at what cost? What does it cost me ultimately in the end? That's the biggest question I have to ask. If it's going to cost me to compromise something that's truly important to me, then I think those are battles that I really need to enter into and fight to the very end to make sure that I see the change that's necessary to happen. And for those of you who actually stay around my own channel, who watch all the other videos that I post, you know that I bring up God quite a bit because my moral standing is based through a biblical lens. That's how I actually operate. And it's not about living for Christ, living for the word isn't about being a coward. It's actually about making a stand in order to have the change come about, for God's will to actually come about into this world. And that's where true peace is actually going to come into. And that's how you're going to have it enter into the classroom. Now, there are times I have to be guided by the Spirit and making sure that if I'm picking, if there are certain battles that I need to just kind of turn my head away from, then God will take care of that. But if there's battles that I actually need to enter into it and see it all the way through, then I'm gonna have to be ready to just fight the good fight of faith on that. So that's ultimately my take in terms of pick your battles, and that's how I'm going to approach this moving forward. So I thought I'd share that experience and my own new philosophy on this to make sure that, well, not make sure, but to share it with you in case there's something that you want to actually apply now into how you approach the classroom. So tell me, have you compromised anything at all when picking your battles? Let's talk about it below. Also, there is a new initiative that I wanted to present to my viewers, that I am actually trying to raise funds for classroom computers for my students. And if you are interested in just donating a small amount, any amount that you actually are available to donate, to make sure that they have technology, it'll be much appreciated. I'll leave a link in the comment section below in the pinned comment to Donors Choose. That's the foundation that I'm going through. So please, if you would, be gracious enough to leave a small donation. No biggie if you don't want to, but I'll put the link down there if you want to help support the students. Thank you for watching.